The final thing we're going to do in this section of the class is that we're going to create a button for toggling a to-do. So we want to be able to specify if a single to-do has been completed or not. I'm going to go back into my HTML, and once again we'll create a div. And inside the div I'm going to make an input. The type for this is going to be number, because we want the user to be able to specify which to-do they would like to be able to toggle as completed. We're going to assign an ID of TG completed pause input, and then we'll create our button. And our button, of course, is going to have the onClick attribute, and we'll go ahead and we'll assign the value to be our handlers.toggleComplete, and we'll put some text in there that says mark as completed. So I'm going to save the page, and then we'll move into our script file. So now we'll go about making the property for toggle completed. Once again, I'm going to assign the value to be a function. We'll create a variable, and we're going to call it tg completed pause input. We're going to make it equal to document.getElementById, and inside of the parentheses, in quotes, I'm going to put the name of the ID of the element that I want to be able to get. Then we're going to use our tdlist.toggleComplete, and if we look back in our existing code, our toggleComplete function takes a position attribute. So inside of the parentheses, I'm going to put the name of the variable tgCompleted pause input, and then we're going to go ahead and pass on the value as number. And again, because we're picking up the position of the item that we want to toggle as completed or not, we're going to use value as number, just like we did in the delete method. And then as a final step, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clear out the toggle completed input field. So we'll use the variable name dot value, and we're going to make that equal to the open and close quotation marks. And that is pretty much it. That should take care of everything that we need to do for this particular object. So let's go ahead and save this, and let's test it in the browser. If I refresh, we can see here is our mark completed. I am getting an error message on line 88, and I just realized when I saw this that I forgot to add my comma right here. So let's add the comma in, and actually everything now is colored in the way that it should be. So I'll resave. We'll refresh in the browser. No error, that's good. Here's our mark is completed button. So let's add a to-do. We'll go ahead and add that, and then let's mark this as completed. So I need to select item 0. We'll mark as completed, and we are getting an error message. Our onClick handler is not defined. So let's go into our HTML, and you can see that I called the method toggle completed, but I passed in toggle complete. So we need to make sure all these things match. I'll change that to toggle completed. So if we save now and we come back and refresh and we add a new item, and if we go ahead and select position 0 and mark as completed, you can see that now it's going to display our list of items, and this one is completed. And if I was to do this again, it should act as a toggle, and now it's uncompleted. So now I could go ahead and add several other items to my list of things to do. And if I wanted to target one of the other ones, I could put the index number and mark it as completed, and it's going to mark as completed. And if I wanted to select one of the other items, I could continue to do that. So it looks as if our application is working in the way that we want. The final step that I would recommend, and it's not necessary to make it work, but just to keep things tidy, is that if you recall, when we created our object, our TD list, we used our display TD, add TD, edit TD, delete TD, toggle complete, and then toggle all. So just to keep things in the same order, I'm going to grab my TG all function. So I'll go ahead and I'll just grab everything right here, and I'm going to cut this. So we have display, add, edit, delete, toggle completed, and then I'm going to put in a comma and I'll paste in my tgall function, and I need to make sure that I have the proper number of curly braces. So that should be everything. And as I said, this isn't going to make the application work any differently, but it's just kind of nice to keep everything in the same order, just so it follows the flow of our code. It'll just make it easier if someone's using it. And anytime you make a change, you're probably going to want to come and test and make sure that everything is still working correctly. So if I decide that I should have written item 2, I could go ahead and specify number 1, and I could change this to item 2. The update is going to change if we want to delete an item, so I'll delete the first one, delete it, and if I want to mark this one as completed, it now is, even though it's item 2, it's now in the 0 index, so I would have to specify 0, and you can see that now it's going to specify that it was completed. And if I want to set it back to incomplete, I would just do the same thing. So everything is now working, and as you can see, an object is a really great way that we can organize our code. We have all of our handler methods on our handler object, and that just makes our code cleaner. And you can also see how we can use the JavaScript to modify things on the page. So I think this added quite a bit of enhancements, and we're starting to really allow the user to be able to interact and utilize the application that we're building.